All right, what's up, witches? Welcome to this week's live group coaching session, aka the weekly refuel, exclusively available live for Bunker members and available on replay on YouTube. I am Ali Kravitz. I am the founder and owner of Witchwork, which is where we are right now, the only co-working office space for spiritual and wellness practitioners here in the Bronx, New York. And I'm also the CEO of BetterWitch Coaching, a class and coaching platform that teaches spirituality and spiritual entrepreneurship to baby witches that want to become better witches. And I am excited about today's topic because it is a very not exciting thing. And I'm hoping to maybe get you excited about thinking about your money management, how you manage your finances in your growing spiritual business. This has been the theme for all of the month of March because it is tax season. So I wanted to focus on our financial management and on topics related to taxes and filing. Last couple of weeks, we've talked about what are some of the write-offs that you as a spiritual practitioner might not know that you're entitled to. You might be able to write off those tarot decks, those crystals, those sound bowl sessions, those Reiki sessions that you receive for yourself even. And we have spent a lot of time talking about that. If you need a nice and easy checklist of the most common write-offs and the most common tax-deductible expenses that you want to be keeping receipts for and keeping track of so you get that money back at the end of the year, I made a very helpful checklist for you, a business expenses checklist. It is completely free. I'll link it down in the comments. Download it, print it out, have it handy, because as we are growing our spiritual businesses, we are spending money left and right. And we do all these things, and sometimes they're little things. We might, have a meeting with somebody about a YouTube video, and we might have lunch. We might buy a new charger for our phone. We might take a cab to go and meet with our accountant. We do all these little things. The big things we tend to pay attention to, but we do all these little things as we go through our day in order to build our business. And those little things often cost money. And if you are not writing them off, then you are missing out on some savings. You're missing out potentially on some credits back, some refunds back. And therefore running your business is more expensive than it has to be. So knowing what those common expenses are so that you make sure to keep your receipts and do all the things that you need is really helpful. So definitely download that checklist and make use of it. I wanted to round out the month with a talk about the next steps and the next steps as it relates to your money management. Because if you are a new spiritual entrepreneur, there's a really good chance that right now you're handling all of those things yourself and you're doing the best that you can. But most of us have not been educated in the tax code. I know I haven't. In financial management, I certainly haven't. I'm getting my financial management education as I'm building this business and seeking way more knowledgeable people than me to teach me. But I definitely started out managing my own finances, keeping track of everything myself, not filing my own taxes. I stopped doing that a long time ago because I was like, let me not. But handling a lot of it on my own. And I have had bookkeepers and accountants. I have fired bookkeepers and accountants. I have used spreadsheets I've created for myself. I've used QuickBooks. I've left QuickBooks. I've come back to QuickBooks. So I've done enough, moving around in terms of doing things myself versus hiring people to help me, that I feel like I can give you guys a really good idea of what it looks like to get help in these capacities and when to pull the trigger and do that for yourself. So I think that's one of the big questions you guys probably all have is, do I even need an accountant right now? Do I need a bookkeeper right now? Should I be on QuickBooks? Is it okay that I'm using my Google spreadsheet? When is the time to start doing these things? Because obviously, when you do these things, they do typically cost. And so the question becomes, How do I know that I'm ready to take on that type of cost, or that type of a cost is going to benefit me? Okay. So I wanted to go through my thoughts, and I have my notes here. I want to go through my thoughts about what these things are, first of all, in case you're not familiar with them, and then my thoughts on when you're ready to start using these services, or like what considerations basically you should give about that. So first of all, let's talk about accounting software. I think we'll start there. We'll start with QuickBooks. So accounting software, you can absolutely manage your finances manually on your own. I'm almost certain of that for pretty much all of you. Unless you have like a physical store, a physical storefront with lots of inventory that ties up some of your wealth. Some of the money that you have is tied up in physical inventory, and you therefore need some help with like balancing that out versus what you actually have in the bank versus what people are spending money on now versus what they might buy in the future, etc. When you have a physical storefront, I would say that this is not the case for you, but most of you are not in that case. Most of you are service providers. You're doing tarot readings, Reiki sessions, sound bowl sessions, you're hosting retreats, gatherings, etc. So you are more of a service-based provider. And for those of you that make your own products, you don't really have a lot of outside inventory that you're buying. You're buying supplies, you make the thing, then you sell the thing. So in those cases, and that's going to make up, 75% to maybe 90% of us, we are in a position where managing our own finances or tracking them ourselves is doable, because you have income coming in from your sessions and your sold products, and then you have expenses in order to make that happen. You might be paying for a mailing list server or a booking site, or you might be paying an e-commerce platform to keep your products on, etc. So your things that produce you money and the things that cost you money are pretty straightforward, which means that creating a spreadsheet that separates those two and allows you to calculate what those are every month or every week, however you break down your spreadsheet, is manageable and shouldn't take too much of your time. And if you're one of my clients, or if you're a bunker member, that I'm huge on time blocking. It is the only way, truly, it is the only way to be an entrepreneur, to have your calendar time blocked. And I have a day of the week, it's Thursdays, that I spend looking over the money of the week. And especially in the early days, that was a pretty short process. It didn't take me that long. I'd look over the week. How many readings did I do? I'd enter that into my spreadsheet. How many candles did I sell? I'd enter that into my spreadsheet. And then I'd look and see if I spent any money on anything. Did I pay any bills? Did I buy anything? And I'd enter that into my spreadsheet. So I had one day of the week where maybe an hour or so was designated to checking in on my finances. And then I also did the same at the end of the month. It was a little more of a review of everything. So maybe that was 2 hours. Not too time consuming, not too complicated. For those of you who are just starting your spiritual practices or starting your businesses, that's where you want to be. It may not be the most fancy operation. It may not even be broken down to the penny. You might be rounding the numbers just to make life easier for yourself. But at the end of the day, this is still better than doing nothing. This is still better than just letting money come in and letting money go out. Tracking your money, I absolutely promise you, I promise you, I promise you, I promise you, even if you are tracking negative dollars, as I was for the first 2 years of my business, even if you are tracking no money, checking in on your money on a weekly basis is such an important habit to establish. It is going to do so many great things for you in your business over time. It's going to allow you to see mistakes or problems before they become serious. It's going to allow you to see trends what's going up, what's going down. It's going to allow you to see opportunities to cut costs or increase revenue. And it's going to inform you about like what services and products you should continue to offer, because you're going to be able to see over time how they're doing. It's also going to allow you to forecast, which is huge. If you've ever listened to other entrepreneurs who are maybe more established and wonder why they're able to tell you, we're going to make this amount of money this year, it's because they're forecasting. And you can only do that by tracking what's been happening up until now. So tracking your money is super important. It is super, 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 super important. I literally I cannot express how important this is. So if you are not doing this, I need you to start today. And if you become one of my clients in the 6-week or the 6-month program, then you're going to get my CEO dashboard, which is a spreadsheet that I have created specifically for my clients to use, that not only allows you to track what's coming in and what's coming out, but also automatically calculates a budget for you. So it basically tells you exactly how much you can afford to spend on your business, which is a huge question mark that most of us have when we are operating our businesses. So if you don't have my CEO dashboard, though, just go into your Google Sheets, your Excel spreadsheets, and just start a basic spreadsheet with your revenue and things that are bringing you in money in one area and the things that are costing you money in another, and just set up the formula so that your revenue deducts your expenses so you can see what profit you're making, as well as tracking everything. So you absolutely can do this on a spreadsheet. You can absolutely do this manually. There are accounting softwares that make this process a little bit easier for you. Because if you are doing it manually, even if you set up formulas to, add everything up for you, you're still going to have to manually input all that information. So every week you're going to have to go back and look at your bank account statements and see what you spent, see what got paid, and enter all that in manually. When you are first starting, perhaps you don't have a very heavy client load, you don't yet have a very heavy amount of orders going out every week, you don't have a lot of expenses, then this should not be too complicated or time consuming. Okay, but it is time consuming, even if it isn't excessively so. It is going to take time and energy from you. And so the question that you have to ask yourself all the time as the CEO of your company, something you must always be evaluating and reevaluating is this the best use of my time? And by best use, I mean, could my time be used generating more revenue for my business instead? If the process of tracking your finances is taking you away from building your business, teaching classes, giving services, marketing yourself, making content, going to an event, etc., then this is the time when we need to start employing software platforms that can do some of the work for us to minimize that loss. Okay? If you're not yet booked and busy, that's okay. The beautiful thing is you do not need to invest the money in accounting software because you have the time. And you could spend an hour every week or 2 hours every week populating all of your costs and everything into your spreadsheet. You can do that. And you won't be taking yourself away from running your business or growing your business. But as things start to get busier and you start to get busier and more opportunities start coming your way, or more ideas start coming your way that need to get out of your head and into the world in order for you to start benefiting from them, then now is the time to say, okay, I need to reclaim some of my time. We need to Maxine Waters it. I need to reclaim my time. And I'm going to do that by using a software that will track my finances. Now, when you set up a software like QuickBooks, you're not off the hook for tracking your own finances, in the sense that every week you should still be looking at your QuickBooks, making sure that everything is accurate and correct, Every month you should be reviewing your P&L statements to see what you lost, see what you made, see what you can change or improve for the next month. But the actual process of manually inputting everything, I spent $4 on parking when I went to this event. I spent like all of that. I don't drive. I don't know if $4 makes sense as a parking amount number. I spent this, like putting in every single thing. If that's starting to take a lot of time, then it makes sense to let accounting software like QuickBooks do it for you, because that's what it will do. It will track those things for you automatically, because you will hook it up to your business bank accounts. You'll hook it up to your business checking. You'll hook it up to your business credit card. You'll put in information like any loans or any other type of business debts, expenses that you have, etc. And what will happen is when you swipe your business debit card to, pay for the business cards you just ordered from Vistaprint or whatever, when that charge comes in, it's going to automatically go into your QuickBooks. And then it's going to get categorized in one of several categories. And when you go in every week, what you're going to do is you're going to look at all of those transactions that got automatically sucked into QuickBooks from your bank account. And you're just going to make sure that QuickBooks put it in the right category. So if I just bought business cards, that's a form of marketing, advertising expense. And when that goes in, it's going to say, okay, the company Vistaprint charged your business account $45. It might not know that should be categorized as a marketing expense. So I'm going to go and make sure that it's going into the right category. And I'm going to tell it, like, in the future, like, all these Vistaprints are all marketing. And it will learn over time. And so it will take those transactions from your bank account. It will put it into essentially the spreadsheet, and it will categorize it properly for you based on your instructions. And you just have to check in periodically to make sure that it's doing all of that right. You also need to check in and make sure that nothing got like double counted by accident, stuff like that. Okay. You can also set up QuickBooks to connect with like your e-commerce sites. So if you sell products on Etsy, if you sell products on Square, you can connect your QuickBooks. So every time you sell a candle, every time you sell a tea, it automatically goes into your QuickBooks account. Now, just a little word to the wise. This is just a little gem from like someone who has used QuickBooks. I can tell you that even though you can do that, I recommend that you don't necessarily, because what can happen is double counting a lot easier in those circumstances. So for example, if I sell 100 candles this week through Square or Etsy and I have it linked to my QuickBooks, it's going to count that money as income, right? But then when Square or Etsy deposits that money into my business checking account, which is also hooked up to QuickBooks, it's going to count that again as income, when really it was the same income that happened when I sold the candles. So that is something to keep in mind. It can cause double counting if you hook up both your bank accounts and your payment processors. So I usually recommend people just hook up the bank accounts. Don't hook up the payment processors. You can account for your inventory costs with your accountant in a different way. But anyway, that's a little bit more complicated. But I just mentioned that because it can cause a lot of confusion. But either way, however you set it up, whatever you connect your QuickBooks to, the idea is that it's going to automatically put all that information in, so you don't have to do it manually. It's going to save you a lot of time. The reason why I mention QuickBooks and why you hear about it all the time is because QuickBooks definitely has like a monopoly on the accounting software world. They are the most well-known platform. They're not necessarily the easiest, most streamlined, or aesthetically pleasing platform, but they've been around for a long time, so they don't really need to get fancy, I guess, or clean things up. So some people do find it to be a little complicated, a little bit confusing. And so if it seems overwhelming, know that you can absolutely 100% use your own spreadsheet and give that to a bookkeeper or an accountant. You don't have to use accounting software. You really at this stage of the game. As you grow and like the business form might change, if you become a corporation, things like that, there might be requirements to use some type of accounting software. And you might be applying for loans or things like that are like, no, we don't want a spreadsheet. Like, we want to see your reports from an accounting software. But in the early days, that's usually not the case. Okay. So unless your financial management process is taking you away from running or growing your business, you don't need it just yet. But that is the benefit of having it set up. Another benefit of having accounting software set up and working with something like QuickBooks is because it is so well known in the industry. So if you do hire a bookkeeper, you do hire an accountant, all you have to do is give them access to your QuickBooks and they're going to know exactly what to do with it. Even if they don't use QuickBooks in their firm or for their purposes, they're going to be familiar with it. Everybody in the financial management world gets trained on it and is familiar with the platform. So having it will make it really easy for you to give your information to somebody who can help you. Whereas your spreadsheet might not make as much sense if it wasn't kept really well or isn't a very good one, and therefore, could extend the amount of time it takes for you to like get somebody up to speed so they can help you. So those are some of the considerations around accounting software. QuickBooks is not the only one out there. Like I said, they just have a monopoly. Karen was talking about one that she really likes that I believe she said was called Wave. And then I know of two women founders who just created a company called Investrio. And I'm learning more about them. And apparently, they have developed and built out their own financial management platform that apparently rivals QuickBooks, but is made by women for women founders. So it is like easier to use and it is aesthetically pleasing and like really super cute. So I'm learning more about it. I don't know if I'm going to be making the switch. All the financial folks that I work with are deep in the QuickBooks world. So, but I'm definitely going to check it out because I think that's so cool. And I absolutely want to support women founders in this space. So Investrio, check them out. So let's say you've got your accounting software situation. Either you're doing a spreadsheet or you've got a software platform like QuickBooks in place and you're tracking your finances. What other help might you need at this point as you are growing? Bookkeepers and accountants. Those are the two folks that for the most part are going to be of help to you. If you don't know what they do, basically a bookkeeper is somebody who tracks your finances for you on a regular basis. They can either do this at one time at the end of the year, like you might hire them to do what we call reconciling your finances. So looking at all your receipts, looking at all your statements, looking at everything you spent, everything that came in, and bringing everything back into balance, making sure that what is reported in all of your accounts is actually what you say has been happening and all of that. There isn't anything funny happening. There isn't any money suddenly showing up or money suddenly missing. So your bookkeeper is just that. They keep the books. Okay. And so if you have QuickBooks, then they're going to be every week going through your QuickBooks and doing that process of checking everything themselves that I mentioned. So they're going to go in and they're going to make sure that the Vistaprint order was labeled as marketing and categorized properly. They're going to make sure that everything balances out, that what your bank statements have and the QuickBooks has is accurate. They're going to make sure that things didn't get double counted. They're going to make sure that, if you went on a business trip and you bought a plane ticket and you maybe forgot and bought it on your personal card, they're going to make sure that that was accounted for. And that they got the receipt for that and adjusted for that, so that even though you accidentally paid for it with personal money, that it's still reflected as a business cost. And so they're going to do all of those things that you would be doing on a weekly basis inside of your accounting spreadsheet or software. Now, this is the next level of, am I using my time well, right? So first we said, well, manually entering all of my expenses every week is taking me away from running and growing this business. So I need some type of accounting software. When you get to the point where checking your accounting software every week is taking you too long, taking you away from running and growing your business, now it might be time to hire a bookkeeper to do that for you. And that's exactly what they will do. And then they will issue you reports at the end of every month or at the end of every quarter to keep you posted. So now you don't have to sit there every week and go through everything and look everything over. They will send you a report every month or every 3 months, and you will look at the report and say, okay, everything looks categorized right. Okay, yes, those numbers look accurate. Okay, interesting. I didn't realize we took a loss on that, or we went up a few dollars in that area. Fantastic. Thank you so much. And then they keep going. The question of when it's time to do this, to me, always comes back to, is my time growing and running my business being taken away? Could I be generating revenue for my business in this time? If I am spending 2 hours a week going over my QuickBooks and I don't have any other time in my week free, so I can't do these things at some other time, and I have a choice between going over my QuickBooks versus maybe teaching a free webinar and bringing on a few more clients that are going to pay me to be a part of my programs, or going to a vending event and selling my candles and teas, then I need to choose the thing that's going to generate me revenue, and I need to find somebody else to do the thing that is not. Very important, needs to get done, but not going to generate me revenue, then I need to find somebody who can do it for me. If I have other time in my week and I could do my finances and also teach the webinar and also do the vending event, then I'm fine. I don't need a bookkeeper yet. Okay, so that's the test that you want to run to determine when you're ready for hiring someone to do this for you. If you are sacrificing doing things that would generate you revenue because you've got to reconcile your finances for the year, you've got to do this, got to do that, then it's time to get a bookkeeper. Last year, I got rid of my bookkeeper, and that should have translated into me going back to my old way of like my regular financial check-ins and all that stuff. And that did not happen, because the thing that I forgot about was, even though I wasn't happy with my previous bookkeeper, that's why I got rid of them, I still don't have the time to be doing my own books. I just don't. If I choose to spend, I have 3 businesses basically under one umbrella. We have a lot of moving parts: physical location, virtual things, membership groups, events, retreats, all the things, and various contractors and assistants and shop witches and all kinds of things. And when that is the case, what I really wasn't thinking about was like, man, I just don't have the hours every week to do what the bookkeeper is doing. And so I ended up just like not and just like not managing my finances the way I normally would. And at the end of the year, I was like, oh man, every month I had on my to-do list, like, reconcile your finances, reconcile your finances. And I like just couldn't get to it because I just genuinely didn't have the time. So I've had to admit that to myself and say, you know what? The truth of the matter is I have to have a bookkeeper, because the only way that I can find the time to do my own books is if I don't do one of the things that is helping people, that is serving this community, that is generating revenue for the business, all those things. So I can't do it. Okay. So I had to get a bookkeeper again, and had to reconcile the entire year's finances, which is so much work. Even with somebody helping me, it is so much work to go back over the year and, get all those receipts and all those statements, and it's a lot. So when you start getting to that point where you're like, I'm going to have to stop managing my finances appropriately because I'm generating money for the business or growing the business, then hire somebody. Okay, it's bookkeeper time. Accountants. Hiring an accountant or working with an accountant is something that I highly, highly, highly recommend, even in the early stages of building your business. So, like I said, you can track your finances yourself on a spreadsheet. That is totally fine. And then reach out to an accountant at tax time. And have them sit down with you and talk about tax strategy, and help you with filing your taxes. Okay. Once you have formalized your business and you want to really take advantage of all that having a business can offer, then I recommend that you start moving away from doing your own taxes. So if you are currently filing electronically for free online somewhere for your personal taxes, that is fine. But once you start bringing in business expenses that you would like to include and get credit for, now is the time to file with somebody who knows what they're doing. This could be like going to, an H&R Block or something like that. That's what I did in the early days. But rather than just like filing for free by yourself on those websites, I recommend like going and sitting down with someone who does tax filing. And I will give you the heads up that that is a good starting point. But I wouldn't expect to be there for too long, because what I have found with the tax filers at places like H&R Block is that they are very familiar with personal taxes, not business taxes as much. So they can help you with the basics of just itemizing your tax return so that you can include your business expenses and therefore get those credits. But they're not necessarily going to be able to advise you on more complicated questions of tax strategy and things of that nature. So just keep that in mind. But I do recommend working with someone as opposed to doing those things yourself. Okay. Itemizing your tax return is not super complicated. But I do think working with an expert is a good idea, because they're going to help you with categorizing your expenses, letting you know which things are actually deductible, which things are expenses that are actually write-offs, etc. An accountant is not somebody that you need to keep on retainer, okay, necessarily, unless you have the budget for that and really feel like that would be necessary. But typically you would hire an accountant at tax time to go over all of the things that you and maybe your bookkeeper have been keeping track of during the year. So you're going to have all of your reports and all of your summaries of everything over the year, and you're going to go, hey, accountant, I'm going to give you access to that so that you can actually do the filing for me. And they'll be able to take all of those numbers and put them into your tax filing and calculate how much you owe, how much you are getting back, whichever one it is. But having an accountant with on hand is helpful, especially when it comes to asking questions about like state taxes and things like that, the taxes that you have to collect when you are selling things. So federal income tax, you only need an accountant once a year for that. They're going to do the filing for you, and they're also probably, if you have a good accountant or if you know to ask, they're also going to give you some advice on how to best position yourself for the most amount of credits, right? So they're going to tell you about like how to use your home as your home office to get that credit, or what you should do with your car or your cell phone to get that as a write-off. Like they'll be able to help you with your federal income tax filings. Having an accountant through the year or meeting with an accountant at other times during the year is helpful for asking questions related to your responsibilities as a business. When you offer services, you are not required to tax people. But if you sell products, digital products even, etc., then that's when things start to get a little bit murky, and you might owe sales taxes to your state. So talking with an accountant who is local is going to help you with that. I make candles. Should I be charging sales tax? Should I be charging sales tax in every state that I sell my candles in? Do I have to pay the state those taxes? Or like, does my seller platform do it? How do I know, right? So state tax things, state tax requirements, the taxes that you're supposed to charge people and then give to the state when the time comes, those are great questions to ask of an accountant or even a tax strategist at the local level in your state that can advise you on that. But hiring an accountant is something that you only have to do for the year for a filing, generally speaking. So I would get ready to start doing that now, because the question of when to hire an accountant isn't really about like how much your business is doing. It's really just a matter of what time of year is it and what needs to be done tax-wise. So. All right. So we talked about accounting software, bookkeepers, and accountants. And we talked most importantly about how to determine when you are ready for any of these things and what some of your alternatives are if you are not ready, how you can still manage your finances perhaps without accounting software or without a bookkeeper, etc. So now I'm going to hop off of YouTube and we are going to get into the bunker to answer questions from the bunker witches that are here today. One of the benefits of being a part of the bunker, our virtual private membership group for witchpreneurs, is you get to enjoy the entire weekly refuel experience. So you get to connect with your fellow witchpreneurs, pitch your businesses, share your wins, and learn how you can work with each other, as well as get the opportunity to ask your personal questions about today's topic from me and the other witches that are in the room. The bunker also gives you a whole bunch of different resources and recommendations. If you're looking for grants you might want to apply for, if you're looking for great business books that you should read, if you're looking for other witchpreneurs to work with and collaborate with, I think there's 89 witches on the roster right now in the bunker. This is the place for you. It's also a great space if you feel like you need business coaching, but maybe financially are not quite ready for one-on-one coaching with myself or someone else. For $49.99 a month, you're able to have live weekly group coaching sessions like this and instant access to me and the other witches in the room, so you can pick people's brains and get the education that you need. And the best part about it is the bunker is free to join. You get a 7-day free trial when you first start, which is a perfect amount of time to check out the space, introduce yourself, look around, and see if the bunker space and all that it offers is going to be of value for you. So I'll drop the link down below. It's already in the description, but I'll put it in the comments as well so that you can become a bunker member. All right. So thank you so much, witches on YouTube, for checking this out. Definitely let me know in the comments if this was valuable to you, if you find this type of education helpful as you are growing your spiritual businesses. Let me know down in the comments. Don't forget to like, turn on your bell notifications so you know every time these types of videos drop. And of course, subscribe. And I will see you all in the next one. Blessed be.